What up, athletes? All right, so here's what you need to know. Today is your mom lesson. So you're going to go in, and it's the Module 6 recap. Okay, so it's just going through a bunch of questions on there. Now, there is a total of, let me see, 8 questions. So you got to do this in 2 parts, right? The first part is you're doing it digitally. Second part is I need to see 8 questions worth of work. Each side is going to be worth 5 points, so just keep that in mind, okay? On a lesson like this where there's more questions than points, it's easier to lose points, right? Than gain them, so I want to be seeing all that work. This is almost a pre-test of sorts, and then we'll get into the study guide tomorrow, but this is really just a recap of pretty much everything we've done over this module. From this point forward, you have a choice. You can either go directly into the mom work, do it, make sure you turn in the written work to the other side, or if you would like to watch me, or even you can come back to this later, the rest of this video is optional because what I'm going to do is I printed out a version of the mom test or the mom assignment. Now, as you know, everybody gets their own version, so none of these questions will be identical to yours, but I'm going to go through each type of question to show you how to work it out and give you a good base of study from there. So like I said, the rest of this video is optional. With that said, boom, let's get into this. Hey all. Make sure to watch the video on how I expect you to show work. That's this video. Complete this test and turn in written work to the lesson. Rush it! All right. First question we have here is factor the GCF out of the polynomial below. That's the greatest common factor, right? So this isn't per se a factoring it down to its factors like we've been doing. This is just saying, how can I factor it out? What's the greatest common factor? So if I look at 3, 9, and 15, what number do they have in common? They have a 3. And if I look at x to the 5th, x to the 3rd, and x squared, what can I pull out of that? I can pull out an x squared. Boom. Why can I pull out an x squared? Because they each have at least that. So now, when I take 3x squared out of x to the 5th, the 3 takes the 3 away, and the x squared, remember, whenever I have like x to the 5th, because I'm essentially dividing it out, that's what it means to take it out, that equals x to the 5 minus 2, which is x to the 3rd, right? I'm just taking 2 of them out. So I'm left with x to the 3rd. 9 divided by 3 is 3, so plus 3. X to the 3rd divided by x squared is just x. 15, so, and then plus, you always got to put the sign in this there. And 15 divided by 3 is 5, and x squared divided by x squared is just 1, so that's what I'm left with. So I'm left with 3x squared times x to the 3rd plus 3x plus 5. That would be how I would answer that question. So you're just factoring out everything you can, writing the rest in parentheses. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, y'all. Now this one is to solve the equation. This is essentially solving for the roots, right? So I have 2 different factors here. I have the one right here, so I have x equals 0, which that's done. Check. And I have x minus 8 equals 0. Which you can show your work for by adding 8 to both sides. And on this, I do want you to show your work because that's part of the point value. So that's gone, x equals 8. Boom. Now, what does it say? It says, write your answers as a list of integers or reduced fractions with your answers separated by commas. For example, if you get 4 and negative 2/3 as your answer, then enter 4, comma, negative 2/3. So for 0 and 8, I'm going to put 0, comma, 8 as my answer. Okay. All right, that's the first couple. Nothing too terrible yet. Go. Okay, question 3. Solve the equation x squared minus 12x equals 0. Well, for this one, guys, I'm going to use my factoring. They both have an x in common, so I'm going to pull an x out, and I get x times x minus 12 equals 0. And we're going to do the same thing, right? Cut it down the middle. I have, where do I want to write? X equals 0, it's already solved. And then I have x minus 12 equals 0. Right, we're using that 0 product property. And I get x equals 12. Boom. So what is my answer again? I'm going to write 0, comma, 12. Don't forget, if you get these wrong, you can always send me a message. That's one thing if you're having a hard time on it. Or you can jump to answer, and that'll just give you the answer. You can kind of see where you're supposed to go with it. And then there should be a button up here, and if I don't see it, I'll make sure it's on there. But there'll be a button that's like request. Once you, I think you have to answer it at least once, but you can request another question, and you have, like, look right here, you have 98 more chances to answer a different question. Okay, so you get 2 tries on each question and 98 potential more questions in this category. So keep going until you figure it out. And please feel free to send me a message to instructor if you need help with anything. Okay, so let's look right here. This one just says factor, so I'm going to factor it, right? X squared minus 24, 5x minus 24x squared. All right. What can I multiply to get 24? I can multiply 124. Nope, that won't make 5. 2 and 12. Nope, that won't make 5. 3 and 8. Whoa, look at that. If I have an 8x and a negative 3x, I know one has to be negative to make a negative up there. That makes 5x and negative 24x, so there we go. So I'm going to put negative 3x right here and 8x down here. I just like to line up my negatives if I can. Pull out a negative 3x, 8 times that, which works because 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. X times x is x squared. And I'm left with x plus 8 times x minus 3. Or, in this case, they have it in a different order, but yeah, there I go. Boom, I would pick that one. Okay? I'm going through these kind of quick because I'm assuming you know how to do most of these, and I'm just really demonstrating how you solve these and kind of work I'm expecting to see as you answer them. All right, let's go to 5. What does 5 say? Factor the following expression completely. Whoa. Factor it completely. So, that's what we just did. Now, I told you when it says factor it completely, you may want to assume that you can pull something out, but in this case, I can't. So we're just going to factor it. Y squared. And by the way, it doesn't matter if they use another variable. That's fine. It doesn't always have to be x. 20y squared. And how can I add together to get 9? Well, let's see. I've got 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Oh, there we go. 4 plus 5 is 9, so 4y and 5y. These, by the way, are just what I would multiply together to get 20. So I use those kind of visually, go through and see. And let's see, I'll put 5y here, 4y here. It doesn't matter where you put them, really. Pull a 5 out, pull a y out, times 4 times y, and I end up with y plus 4 times y plus 5. That's my answer. And again, also, you can always watch a video on how to do this. Elsewise, as you're filling these out, you always have that option. They have their own videos that show you through. Maybe it'll hit you different than I will. Might hit different. You never know. Okay, that's page 2. There's 8 questions, so it just prints out big on 3 pages. But so this is question 6. You'll see it's kind of split up between pages, right? Like this. So this is question 6. And you'll have a question 6 that looks very similar to this. Go ahead and go down here. There we go. I can be up here. Okay. So question 6. It says to factor completely again. Okay. Well, look at r squared minus 144. Since I don't have a middle term, I'm betting these are square numbers. What's the square root of r squared? It's r. What's the square root of 144? It's 12. So I'm going to end up with, that's all I got to show for work. Once I know they're both square numbers, I can go, all right, this is going to be r plus 12 times r minus 12. And let me remind you why. If I ever have a squared minus b squared, it automatically, it's always going to factor to a plus b, which is just the square root of a squared is a, square root of b squared is b. So a plus b, a minus b. That's all we did there. Okay, again, let's look at 7. Factor this. Well, first of all, can I pull anything out of a 49 and a 9? No. Okay, so let's square root it. Again, when I'm missing that bx term, that's my clue. What's the square root of 49? Square root of 49 is, probably should have wrote this here. 49x squared minus 9. Square root of that. It's going to equal 7. Square root of 49 is 7. Square root of x squared is x. See how you square root those individually? And then, what's the square root of 9? It's 3. So I'm going to end up with 7x plus 3 times 7x minus 3. Just to prove that that works, because, you know, I like to show you guys things that work. I have 7x plus 3, or not a plus, but just 3, and 7x and minus 3. I end up with 49x squared. That's 21x, because that should be a plus. That's just a 3. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 7x times negative 3 is negative 21x. Those are going to cancel out, and I'm left with 49x squared minus 9, which is what we started off with. And last but not least is right here, 3w squared minus 192, factor completely. Again, whenever I see that, missing that middle term, I'm like, oh, I bet you. And guess what? First of all, can I divide out a 3? Yeah, I can. When I divide a 3 out of here. So if I pull a 3 out, I'm going to pull a 3 out, so I'm going to write it right there. I'm going to have 3 times w squared minus 192 divided by 3. Let's see, that's going to be 64. You can check me on it, but it is. And now, look at this. What's the square root of w squared? Is w. Square root of 64 is 8. So I'm going to have 3 times w plus 8 times w minus 8. It just works every time. So there you go. That's an example of work I expect to be shown on all these problems. Your problems they'll be the same type of problems, but they'll be different numbers. So just know that going into it. With that said, peace out.